Is it working?
I don't know. Calm down. It's fine. Chill.
I'm sorry. I don't know if it's working or not.
Where do I go to?
I don't know. I don't know.
No, what do I go to on this?
I don't know where to start. I don't know where it is. Is that right? Is it working?
I don't know. Chill. It's fine. Relax. It's okay. Christ.
Oh, hang
and
on.
Look,
oh, it's working.
It's working.
Oh, my panic face.
Yay. Jesus, chill out. I told you to not fucking move.
Oh.
See? I told you to relax.
Okay, I don't know if it's right.
It is right because it's working.
Is that the same chat going through there? Because I think there's like 2 different chats.
No, that's the same one. It's the same one. Look, see, you've got Megan Baxter there. Pretty sure it's Jess.
Hang on.
So it's Savvy.
Yeah,
Savvy's there as well.
see? It's different, isn't it? I think. It's working.
Come here, let me look.
I don't know. Oh my gosh. I tell you what, no, hang. If I just pop out chat, click it there. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry guys. I don't think I set this up right.
You have. Chill.
Because it's they're different, see? The chats are different.
Okay, right.
I think because
Is it
one's
text or image? Which one's this one?
No, it's browser source. See, that's the right chat, but now it means the event isn't working.
What do you mean it means the event isn't working?
Don't worry, I don't know.
Okay, well, hold on a second. Yeah, it does.
It
see?
is?
Events.
Oh.
Dickhead. Who's a panicky little dickhead? Who's a panicky little dickhead?
I'm sorry, oh my god.
Am I a panicky little dickhead? No.
Me. I am.
You fucking douche.
Don't keep swearing.
Well,
you're gonna demonetize my videos.
It's a live one. You can't demonetize live, so it's fine.
I'm joking.
Okay, we'll do it live. So which chat do you want to join? That one or that one? That one or that one? That one or that one?
I don't know. Hang on. No. I don't know what. Hang on. I don't know what screen I should be looking at a minute.
Well, probably like I don't know.
It should be the live one, I think. No, I don't actually remember which one I'm supposed to be looking. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, everyone. I'm so sorry. I have no idea how this is supposed to be done.
It's not.
Restore. Hang
on. Hold on. Okay. Right.
I think is that the right thing I should be looking at, or should I be looking at OBS?
Right.
Oh no, I should be looking at OBS. I think.
Oh my god.
I don't know. I don't know which one I should be looking at. I'm so sorry, everyone. Oh
you know, you know the scene from Dodgeball?
Hang on.
Right,
yeah,
where he's talking about it's like watching. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I can't remember the film.
I'm not going to say it either because I'll get in trouble.
Okay. Hello. I'm so sorry. That's taken up 3 minutes of the stream time. I'm ever so sorry.
What's 3 minutes? Pause to it. They're happy to wait. It's fine. Relax. You don't need to be panicking as much as you are.
Thank you guys. I really appreciate it. You best go be with Baby.
I will. Have fun.
I will. Actually, does Baby want to say hello before we start? Fable! Come here. You're gonna say hello to everyone. Say hello. You're gorgeous. Gonna say hello. Okay. Yeah, he always makes me feel better. So there we are.
Probably worth having that one as well. Yeah, it's worth having that one.
Okay.
Right. Fable, come with Daddy.
The thing is, it's like it's
is
always.
the audio set up properly now? So people hear you?
I think so. People seem to be responding. So I think
Fable.
People are hearing me.
Fable, come on. Come on, Danny boy.
Okay.
Enjoy your stream, darling.
Thanks, guys.
If you need any other info, I'll have my phone on me in a second because I'm going to take it off charge. So
okay.
Okay,
thanks.
Love you.
Love you too. I'm so sorry. Like, I thought this would be much more straightforward, and then, yeah, it just got a bit out of hand because I don't know how Jake's done it before in the past. I don't know if he's used I don't know. I just didn't know which chat I was supposed to be looking at and which, like, oh no. Okay. Deep breath. Yes. Sienna, you're such an inspiration to me. It's an honour for me to be able to speak with you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Am I glad with how everything in the interview went from Aquarius Course? Yes, actually, yeah. I was, oh my gosh, it just caused so much stress initially because, yeah, like Ed was really panicking and really freaking out. And some of the, like we had, I can't even think of the words. I can't even get my words out. I'm so sorry. like some of the clickbait titles that were coming out, like Daily Mail were like reblogging, like reporting off it, like off like third-party information that wasn't really correct, and it was just really gross stuff, like, you know, even when she's intimate with her partner, like big clickbait lines. And it was actually really quite sad, because obviously there's a lot more behind that than just this horrible little clickbait title that they kept using. I mean, I don't blame Channel 7 for it. It wasn't them. It was just, you know, the tabloids and stuff that took it from it. So that was a little bit sad, but never mind. Oh, Lennon, you look beautiful today. Thank you. I've just literally just come from work, so I'm really like, I think that's why I'm just like, I just came back, just come home, just sat here, just like, I hope it works, and then it didn't work, and I was like, oh no. So I'm okay. Don't be sorry, we're all here to see you succeed, from Amelia. Thank you, Amelia. Yeah, I'm hoping I'm reading the right chat. I'm sorry if this doesn't turn out particularly wonderful. I'm really sorry. Hello, I'm doing a big project on D&D and it started because of you. You seem to be the only one on the internet not dramatizing it, and you all seem like really enjoyable, interesting people. Thank you very much, Radioactive Ferret. Although I will say there are other people on YouTube out there that do talk about their experiences with DID, and they're definitely worth a watch because they're great. So yes. Oh gosh. Okay. Okay, is anyone Cook-On with you? I don't know. Sorry, I couldn't tell you. I don't think so. I think that's why I'm so jittery and so nervous and had no clue what I was doing with the uploading software. Sorry. Okay, I know, everything's okay. Thank you, guys. Who would you also suggest on YouTube? Oh gosh, there are loads of people, but my memory is so poor. There's a system called the Labyrinth System. You know, like a maze, like a labyrinth. They do YouTube videos. The person who inspired me, which was Tommy Jameson, who goes by Sidian3 on YouTube, or if you type in Tommy Jameson, she'll come up as well, and her system and her altars. And there's I may get the name wrong. It's a Russian name, I think, or something like that. It's a Matryoshka system, like the little Russian dolls. I think that's what they're supposed to be. Or the name's supposed to translate to. I may be completely wrong. I'm so sorry if I am. But yeah, there's people like that all over YouTube if you have a good dig. I love the documentary. You're so brave for putting yourselves and lives on such a large stage. You're doing great shedding light on DID. Thank you very much. I look like a deer in headlights. There we are. Yes, Matryoshka system there in the comments. Coming up. Yeah, so there are plenty of other YouTubers that talk about the DID online. So yes. Oh, I'm sad they don't investigate it in Portugal either. But yeah, I hope they do. How long did it take you to be diagnosed with DID? Was it quick, simple? Did it span over a time? Well, I was being investigated for, I don't know, I say investigated. I was under the mental health teams since I was about 14, I think. I started having panic attacks about 9, but I don't know, I didn't really look into it. It was kind of like, oh yeah, you know, not that I find it weird that no doctor would kind of question like why a 9-year-old is having panic attacks, but you know, but I think yeah. So from when I was 14 until I was 19, and it was sort of at a point where I was like kind of giving up on the NHS, and I had gone obviously to university to study psychology, and I was around psychologists all day, every day for 3 years. And my tutor was amazing, and she was the one that said, like, you know, in order for us to support you, we really need a diagnosis, and you know, and I think that you're right in thinking what it could be. So why don't you go and see someone? And that was when I went to see Dr. Remy Aquarone, who was in the documentary that we did as well. So he diagnosed me then at 19. I'm the host of my system, and you guys videos have really helped me figure out how to manage things with DID, so I just wanted to thank you for that. Thank you, Caramel Pop. Thank you. Are you happy with the documentary and the way it turned out? Yeah, I think I started talking about this earlier. I don't know if I finished it. So yeah, it did cause a lot of stress. before it was released, but actually after it was released, we were really happy. Obviously, I think they try and, I think any media would do it, you know, they try to highlight like, oh my god, the intimacy and woo, and then they try to highlight like, oh my god, they're all men and woo, and then, oh my god, like, I can't remember what the other point was. Somebody else brought it up recently and I was like, yeah, that was another point. Oh, the switch on camera, which actually wasn't a switch on camera. And it was quite funny because that was after 2 hours of solid interviewing. And I was like, I'm really getting to a point now where I'm like, I'm exhausted and there's loads of people buzzing around. And I was like, oh my gosh. And then they were like, okay, yeah, we're finished with your interview. Like, is anyone else around for an interview? And I was like, yeah, I've got Jamie, Jake, and Ollie around. And that's when I said, so it's really busy. That was that scene. And they were like, okay, can you maybe get one? And I was like, yep, because Jake really wants to do a segment, so that's fine. And I left, and we took a bag of clothes with us in case we switched during the week that we spent with them. So they all had like their idiosyncratic clothing to make it easier for audiences to identify who was who. And yeah, so then Jake got dressed and then came back, and that was it. Big, scary, switchy scene. Okay. Yeah, they always make dramas out of nothing. Exactly. That's just the way it is. Why have you not been on as often? I don't know. Did I stop being on as often? I didn't notice. I mean, I'm sorry. I don't really make regular videos and regular content. I guess because I am just so busy generally, and I'm doing my full-time job and I'm doing my uni degree, and then this is like a little bit as well, and then I'm battling and working with my own mental health. So it kind of, you know, this is a very small segment of my time, unfortunately. I'd love to give it more time, but I haven't recently. I'm really sorry. Let Gaz know he was wonderful in the documentary. They showed just how much he really loves you. Yeah, it was really, really, really nice. So thank you. I'm glad everyone else saw that too. Hello from Australia. Hello. First time you switched. I have no idea when the first time I switched was. I have no idea. I'm sorry. My memory is awful and I barely like remember my memories from childhood at all. So how have the alters been lately? I miss them. I think a bit of a roller coaster lately. We've been really, really quite rapidly switching. I think pretty much all of us have been out several times every day for like the last week. It's been really intense. I'm not quite sure why. So yeah, I think everyone's okay. I've not heard any complaints anyway. So, okay. Ed did an awesome job in the documentary. I was kind of surprised to see him, to be honest. Yeah, I think after a week, and they were so nice as well. The cast were, the crew, whatever they're called. They were really nice and really lovely and really welcoming. And Ed had actually made them an afternoon tea, which you guys didn't see, but yeah, he made them an afternoon tea, British style. So he got all these British like patisseries and stuff and made them to try and give them like a taste of the UK. So he made them that and was just like, that's kind of like a peace offering. And then they all had like teas and stuff, and he was like drinking a bottle of wine, and they were kind of like, how do you feel about it now? Would you give us like a little interview? And he was like, okay, bottle of wine later. Spent time with you for a week. You guys are okay. So he did. I love these live streams. It feels like a friend is talking to you. Thank you. Thanks, Sugar. I'm glad. Sorry if I'm a bit waffly or I'm a bit nervous. Jess, how does it feel being the only girl? I don't know. I think it's fine. It's fine. I think I've just been with boys for so long now. I actually think I get along generally better with guys than I do with girls because I kind of know how to be around guys. So yeah. Oh gosh, comments are really fast again. Such a big inspiration. Thank you very much. Love from South Africa. Thank you. How do you handle rapid switching? Does it conflict with your schedule? I mean, it can, but it's just that grounding, and it's about that just learning to ground when you need to. I mean, obviously, it's a difficult thing to master, and it's taken us a few years to get into that routine of being able to understand how to ground us and at what stage we might need to like leave a situation if, you know, we're not doing very well, or like Jamie was actually quite poorly, I believe it was last night. So he was out, and then he had a really, really bad depersonalization, derealization spell, and he was like, can't even think right now. So he had to like lie down, and he was just spacing off. I don't know for how long. So yeah, he was quite poorly last night, and that can happen as well. If you can get rid of DID, would you? I don't know. I think at this moment in time, no, because I'm not at a place where I'm comfortable to think of what my life would be without it. And funnily enough, I posted this post the other day saying something like, you know, I only get actually a small life in comparison to many other people's life in the world, kind of thing. Because my life is kind of shared, and then my memories are cut, and yeah, my life is essentially cut into like a fifth. But at the same time, if I'm out for too long, I really start to panic, and I'm like, I don't want to be here anymore. Like, somebody please take over my life right now. I can't deal with it. So I think at the moment, the idea of that suddenly disappearing from me is just too much. So at the moment, I wouldn't get rid of it. Were the people from the show skeptical about the switching? I love you all on the altars. Thank you, Connie. I don't think so. They never gave me that impression. And actually, I think what made it even nicer was we read that like Melissa Doyle, the lady who actually presented, she had an interview with like a magazine who asked, I think it was a magazine or somewhere, who asked about us and if she believed that the condition was made up, and Melissa was like, no, it's not made. It's absolutely not made up at all. Like it's, I spent a whole week with them, and I saw them switch on and off camera. It makes no difference, kind of thing, and yeah, so that was really good. I've been diagnosed with DID several months ago. It's been very hard and overwhelming, but finding your videos and watching how far you've gotten gives me hope that I can learn to live with it. That's brilliant. I'm so pleased, so pleased, because I remember that's how I felt when I was starting out. And I was like, oh my gosh, all I've got to look forward to in my life is not a life. Like, I'm going to be like chained up, and I'm going to be like committed to a mental asylum, and I'm never going to be able to have a life of my own. And that's all I saw from the media and everything that it was telling me. Like, I never even equated my own experiences to be the same as the stuff that was out there, because they were just so worlds apart almost. And yeah, I'm glad now that I've been able to give somebody else that hope, I guess. Oh. What does it feel like to switch? I think it feels like it's really hard to explain. It kind of feels like you're about to fall asleep, but you don't get any tiredness with it. You don't really get sleepy. It's just more, I feel like I'm going to fall asleep. I don't know if I explained that very well. I'm sorry. Here, can I read more about dissociative disorders? Can you recommend any websites and books? Yeah. If you're from the UK, I'd recommend First Person Plural and PODS. Those are both really great charities that do a lot with DID. There's also the ISSTD, which is like the International Studies of Dissociation Trauma thingy. They're really good. And then there's also DID-info.org something. Oh no, I don't remember the name, I'm sorry. But there are some really good stuff out there. I'm really sorry I can't remember them off the top of my head. Do any of us speak different languages? No, unfortunately not. But Jake has been able to keep some British Sign Language that we learned when we were very young. So he remembers a lot more of that than any of the rest of us do. How do you handle your alters having friends, and does it ever get awkward? I mean, it kind of has, I guess, because there's some people like over the years that I've not liked. Like, I used to hang around with a bit of a rough crowd that I wasn't really feeling. So yeah, that got a bit awkward years ago, but I guess it's not so much of that anymore. Is there potential to develop more alters in the future, or do you think your system family are already set and no more will emerge? You're all wonderful, by the way. Thank you, Daisy. Yeah, there's always a potential. Once somebody with DID starts developing alters, they can develop alters for the rest of their lives, and it's different for every system. So some systems, it's like a really small thing that can cause an alter. or for other systems it's like a real impact that causes an alter. So it's different for every single system. How many psychiatrists did you have to go through before you got diagnosed? Personally, it's been ridiculous because no one wants to touch it. I relate, Jenna, I relate. I don't know how many, to be honest. I couldn't put a number on it. I couldn't tell you. But yeah, just a lot of people. A stupid amount of people, I guess. But don't give up. There will be somebody out there somewhere eventually. And it's always worth looking into somebody's credentials, or even asking someone, you know, before I even go and wait on this waiting list to see someone, will they deal with dissociative disorders? And if the answer is no, then there's obviously no point. So hey Jess, I have DID too, but not officially diagnosed yet. I'm trying to push for treatment. Your videos and everyone has helped loads. I'm really grateful. I'm really happy even. So yeah. As far as I understand, you're not part of the inner world. So what is being off like for you? Love from Germany. I'm not part of the inner world. So when I'm not fronting, I'm just not here, I guess. I don't really know how else to describe it. Like I'm sure some of you may have seen like the car analogy that I did. So it's like sitting in the front seat, the back seat, the boot. Is like how much memory I'll have. So I kind of feel like I'm sitting there watching everything that's going on sometimes. But then sometimes it's like I'm not paying attention, so that kind of moves me further back. And then sometimes I don't see anything at all, which puts me in the boot. So that's kind of how I describe it. Any advice for future therapists that want to work with DID patients? Yeah. Oh my gosh, I feel like I should be like, yeah. Yeah, I mean, actually, like I'm studying psychotherapy at the moment, doing my postgraduate diploma year. So, and I would love to be able to work with dissociative clients, obviously. So I think my best advice would mainly be to appreciate the alter's individuality, but you know, also appreciate that they're part of one person, but that doesn't make them one person. And that's kind of the way I put it across. Like everyone has to kind of work together as a team. And I think that from my point of view, that's how you get everyone to a good place, is getting everyone to be able to get to a place where they can cooperate and communicate, and everyone's kind of on the same playing field. So yeah, and I'd say, like, of course, treat each individual how they want to be treated. And yeah, appreciate everyone's experiences, and I think you'll get along really well. Can alters have their own alters? Yes. I think Jamie talked about it in the last video actually. I think it's polyfragmentation, and that's either when the system are in the hundreds, so that's called polyfragmented, and it's also when alters have alters, so alters themselves have DID themselves. Yeah. I was having a crush on Jamie a few days ago. I bet he already knows, but I find him really amazing. Ah, oh, you'll love that. Oh gosh. I made it recently. I reached out to my psychologist since I suffer the same disorder, and we've been so afraid of what would happen. Oh, I'm sorry. But you know, best of luck and good for you. You guys, I'm sure, are doing really well. And it's reaching out for that support that can be really, really tough. I mean, part of why I do this anyway is to say, do you know what? Like, there's so many people like through the years that I met in like forums and online that was so frightened to ever have a voice or say that they have this disorder because they're worried that they'd lose their job, they're worried that they'd lose family, friends, whatever. And it's such a difficult thing, I think, to keep forever a secret. And I was like, I don't see why people with this disorder have to stay quiet anymore and have to stay silent. So yeah, like, well done for you for reaching out for support, and I hope that one day the world will be more tolerant of people with dissociative disorders. Oh gosh, I'm getting a lot of how is Eli? I've seen that fly up a few times. I don't know. I have no communication with Eli. And if anyone who's wondering about Eli, Eli is the newest fragment in our system. And he formed from stress. So we were talking earlier about alters developing. And I went through quite quite it was a very difficult, very, very difficult time, and sort of unlocked sort of new memories and stuff that came from the past, and it just caused another alter. Any advice for telling a psych professor about my DID when he does not believe DID is real? Oh my gosh. I'd ask him if he's picked up a DSM recently. That's the Diagnostic Statistical Manual of Mental Health Disorders. Because the DID has been there now for many, many years under that. Or even the ICD, that has it in there as well. So really, if he's your psychology professor or tutor or whatever, he should really be looking in his book. Because to me, it's like going to a doctor and then a doctor turning around and saying, actually, you know what, I treat cancer, but I don't treat that kind of cancer. That's one I don't believe in. Like, you just can't, you cannot have a book of mental health issues and say that one I don't believe in. It just doesn't work that way. Sorry, I'm really nervous. I know I need to take a choke pill. I'm really sorry. I still don't feel like I'm still reading it from the right screen. I've really got that in my head. So I'm really sorry, I'm quite anxious. Can you alters influence the inner world willingly from a message in a bottle, like adding an extra room to the house or smaller changes, or does this just happen? No, I don't influence my inner world at all. I don't have that ability to, but there are systems out there who can. So it just happens for us, for my system, but again, it's different for every single one, and I cannot exaggerate that enough. For my system, we believe that the inner world has outer world connotations. So it's like the butterfly effect kind of thing. So if something happens out here, something will happen in a world that might be like metaphorical, almost like dreamlike. You know, when you have a dream and you're like, oh, I wonder what that was about or trying to represent. It's kind of that thing. So for me, I believe that my inner world is a bit like a constant dreamlike state in a way, and everything in there represents things going on out here. I noticed that you read the bottom of the chat, but your boys mostly read questions from the top. That's a good observation. I didn't know that, but yeah, I tend, for some reason, I'm looking straight down. My friend just moved to Wales for grad school. Any advice? Yeah, come hit me up. We'll hang. Depends where in Wales. But yeah, it's fine here. It's fine. Just quite hilly. Do you think you'll switch through this vid? Hopefully not. I mean, I say hopefully not. I just find that idea really quite vulnerable of having an alter or switching on camera. I find that quite a vulnerable idea, so I hope not. Even though right now, more than anything, I would love somebody else to be here in my place and do this for me. And that's nothing on you guys. It's just more like, oh my gosh, I know how badly I can waffle. And I actually feel really bad, like, for missing all these comments that are coming up as well, because obviously there's some I'm missing, so I'm really sorry. How does it feel when people look at DID from a religious level? That's an interesting one. For me, it feels like, I don't know, quite awkward, because for me, it's not a religious experience. It's not. But again, I guess for some cultures, it might mean something different, or for certain types of people, but for me, it feels quite awkward. Did you ever question your gender identity at one point? Yes, I did, Mackenzie. Quite, oh my gosh, massively through my teenage years was the worst, absolutely massively. And funny enough, Jamie was talking last night to, I can't remember who it was. I just have this memory of him talking last night to some people. And he was saying from 6 to 12, we had this other alter front or host. So for 6 years of my life, I've lost to one alter that called himself James and called himself male, but we don't actually know if he was a he. Like, you know, I say gender assigned at birth, but I guess it would be different in terms of alters. But yeah, we're not quite sure if he was trans or he was actually male. But yeah, I mean, that definitely, and he had huge dysphoria. I know that for a fact. So that was really odd. And I remember being like, oh my gosh, I remember going to my prom like years later, and my teacher was just like, I can't believe the difference between you now and you all those years ago. And that was before I had any idea of what this was. I had no idea. But my teacher was like, you wouldn't think you're the same person. So just something I've always kind of remembered. How can I get involved in spreading awareness for this disorder? From Raven. Do what you do, Raven. Do whatever it was you want to do, whether you want to blog, you want to talk, you want to do podcasts, you want to go on YouTube, you want to go to the media, you want to do anything, just do it. Even if it's small as just speaking to a few friends and, you know, tackling that stigma. And yeah, I think you'll do a really, really good job. But just only do whatever you feel comfortable to do. And I would always say that's the key. If you want to put your face out there, do it. If you don't have to, and you should never feel forced. Does Gaz ever get the J names mixed up? Not after all these years, Ruth. Oh, Labyrinth System. Hi, nice to catch you too. I did recommend your YouTube earlier in the chat. How much longer do I have at uni? I have another year and a half, I guess. So yeah, 2 years. I've just technically started my second year. So, and that'll be my postgrad. But I missed it. Like, I did my 3 years of my clinical and health psychology, my honours degree, and I really enjoyed it. But I was like, okay, enough now. But actually, after the summer, I kind of missed it. I was like, oh, that's it now. I don't do anything else now. So then I worked for a couple of years, and I was like, actually, I'm really bored now. So I'm going to get back into uni. So that's why I'm doing postgrad now. Oh, hey, Frey from Catsglade. Hey, thank you for the nice Tumblr messages you sent me earlier. I really appreciate it. Jess, would you miss your alters if they disappeared? I would, I think, a lot. I don't... This sounds really awful. I'm not trying to put it towards them. I would miss them as people, of course, and I would miss them. But I think I would miss the comfort of them more than them. That sounds really awful. But I mean, like, having them on hand, like I said, to help me and support me and to take over my life when I need them to do that, I would really, really miss that. I think on an uncomfortable level, like I would mourn for them, but I think, oh my gosh, yeah, that's a horrible thought. I just definitely wouldn't want them to go away now. Any advice to someone who might be developing a new alter? I probably need the same advice, so send any advice my way. I think it's a difficult time for anyone, and I would just say take as much TLC as you need. Be gentle to yourself, and I don't know, if you're sort of starting communication with an alter, maybe keep a journal and try and leave it out to be like, hey, please write back to me if you're here, kind of thing. I guess that would maybe put your mind at ease a little bit. But yes. Catherine Evans, hello from Llanelli. Hello. When you followed us on Tumblr, we were so happy. Thank you for that. No worries. Any system, anyone else with DID or blogs about mental health, we do try and follow as best as we can. You and Ollie don't talk much, right? Why would that be the case? I guess because I'm not actually that very good. I'm not very good with kids. And I remember Ollie coming in the system really young, so he was about 6 or 7. But funny enough, I was saying to Gaz the other day about how, I don't know, I was just saying like Ollie's actually really cool. Like I think now he's getting to an age where I don't feel so uncomfortable. I'm like, oh, I don't know what to say to you, small tiny child, that I could offend or upset or annoy the parents of. So I don't know. I guess we've never really had much in common, but I think now he's aging a little bit. I'm able to communicate, and the barriers for whatever reason are coming down a little bit more, so we are able to communicate better. Are most original people not in their inner world? No, I think I'm just a bit weird. Like I would definitely again say like my system is just one experience. I think for most systems, their hosts are able to venture in their inner world, or some systems don't have an inner world at all. So obviously in that case, no one would go into an inner world. So I feel the same way about children. I'm glad it's not just me. Like I would love my own. I really would love my own, and I would feel safe and comfortable knowing what to do with my own. But I think whenever it comes down to any other people's kids, I'm just like, oh no, oh no. I did work with kids as well for a time being, and I was fine, like, because it was oh gosh, I don't know how much detail actually I should go into. I was working with traumatized children essentially, and because of that, because it was much more about the psychology and the structure and the routine and what to do and how to manage behavior, that was easier, I guess. But actually, when it's like a kid out in the real world, like I'm just like, oh no, I don't want to say anything or do anything in case I upset or offend you or annoy your parents. So yeah. How do you feel about art of you and your boys? Kisses from Greece. Thank you, Iwana-chan. I actually love receiving it. I love seeing other people's interpretations of the boys. That actually is like, wow. Yeah, I find it fascinating, and I think everyone's got their own little twist on how they see all of the alters, and whether that's somebody's idea of, I don't know, how they should look based on their personality or how they view them when they're talking to them. I have no idea, actually. I'd be very curious, I guess, to receive more art, and then maybe ask the artist behind, like, how they envisioned them differently to me in whatever features they have, for example. So that would be interesting. How do you deal with switching at work from page? I've learned over the years. I mean, I've been working since I was like 15, and I went through a lot of jobs, I think, initially, because I kept them up for a while, but it was just more when I felt like it was getting too uncontrollable. That's when I tend to leave. And basically, I think my key was essentially in the end, I have to do work, not any of the alters, me. I work, no one else. And it was getting into that 9 to 5 idea of, okay, I need to be out 9 to 5, and in order for me to make money, for us to have a nice home, and for us not to, be in trouble or anything. And that needed to stay that way. So basically everyone would fight to not be out, and I would fight to stay forward. And then we just got into a bit of a habit, like a habitual routine of nobody fronting while I was at work, and I was able to get on with things. And I found, actually, like, we had a weekend receptionist job while I was doing this job, and I found a lot of my boys worked even though they weren't supposed to, because I was dissociating quite a lot, I guess, maybe through a bit of boredom, or I don't know, and then they would sort of come forward and answer the phones and do like little work like that. But in my main job now, my full-time job, because I was doing that as part-time work on the weekends, and I was doing this Monday to Friday. But yeah, Monday to Friday, no, not at all, because this job is quite like, you have to be thinking on your feet all the time. So I constantly have to be, I don't know, yeah, I can't even think of words, I'm so sorry, but I just really have to be at the forefront, like, constantly, and I have to, like, stay there. So I think I find a busier job, and the more difficult a job is, the more I would stay grounded at work. Congratulations on your recent interview and success at work. Must have been an amazing birthday. Thank you. How are you feeling about getting your own clients? Oh my gosh, you must have read. Yeah, for those again who might not know, I passed an interview as a trainee therapist, as a trainee psychotherapist, so it means I will be getting my own clients soon. And I am very, very excited. So not only am I doing uni, my full-time job, I'm also volunteering then as a psychotherapist to get my accreditation for membership. So yeah, I'm very nervous, but that'll be sometime this month. In the past, how long did you go without switching? I don't know. I can't tell you an exact date, I'm afraid, or an exact length of time, but I know it's been a long time between some switches, like some weeks. I don't remember it being any longer than weeks though. I don't remember it being months, but it might have been. But yeah. Keep up the wonderful job, Jess. Thank you very much. You're doing so great. We appreciate everything you do, and happy belated birthday. Thank you. I have an alter named Oliver as well. Oh, that's very cool. Sure, you're doing as amazing as a therapist. Thank you very much. I am inspired by my own therapist, or the specialist again that you guys would have seen in the documentary. He was amazing, and if I can make anyone in the world feel like he did to me, then yeah, that's like my life made. Moses, is someone co-com right now? I don't know. We've been through a really bad patch for the last, I don't know how many months, where we kind of struggle to tell who's around. So I don't know. I don't think so, but I might be wrong. DID 5+Me interview for college. I'm trying to do a paper on my and others' experiences with DID. Yeah, I mean, if that's a question to me, like I'm quite happy to be a part of whatever interviews I can to help people with their degrees and studies. I have done a few with people already, and so far everyone's gotten distinctions, which I'm like, oh my gosh, I hope that's a continued rep. So yeah. Am I able to observe what is happening in a world? I used to be able to. I could tell you in like really fine detail exactly where everyone was, what they were doing, everything in the room. Like I could get like this real picture of everything that was happening at the time. But then I don't know. Basically, since the Eli came along, we had none of that, so we weren't able to get through any of our inner world for months. And then it's sort of just, we get like inner world things like hit us in the face, like this is what's happened for the last, I don't know, week. This is what's happened for the last month. So I feel like the inner world's kind of still catching up at the moment. So no, I don't have a direct feed at the moment anymore. But I hope to get back to that stage because I do kind of miss it. Like I just miss like kind of like tuning in, like you would like switch on the telly and have a watch. It's kind of how I feel. How did you feel before you understood you had DID from Katie? I felt like I was going crazy. I felt I didn't even know how I felt essentially. Like I was so confused. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how I feel. I don't know what my sexuality is. I don't know what my gender is. I don't know what anything in my life means or is. And I'm losing all this time. But I kind of figured that was normal. But then it got to a point where I was missing, I knew I was missing days. Like I was like, I don't know what's happened for the last how many days. And yeah, so I've kind of forgotten the question already. I'm really sorry. Oh no, it's awful. But yeah, I hope I answered it, whatever it was. Hi Jess, I want to buy Diaries of a Broken Mind. I love it, but I can't find a DVD of it. That's okay, you can just download it from YouTube. I'm sure there's programs out there that can help you. I don't know if you can buy the DVD. I don't know if a DVD was ever made, but just download it, it's fine. Not that I'm condoning that, condoning downloading everything on YouTube, but since it's technically my video or part of me in there, you can have it. Oh, thank you, Daisy. I just read your comment. Thank you very much. Matryoshka system, when will Multiplicity&LiveStream start? Oh, you're giving it away now, Matryoshka. So people may not know yet because we've not advertised it, but we are planning to run a channel called Multiplicity&US, and that's going to feature all these other contributors from YouTube that would like to contribute, and they'll put their own videos in. So it was all in the hands of Jake, so I'm not actually sure. I believe it's going to go live at 40,000 subscribers, I believe, but I might be wrong. And I think that Jake has coaxed Ed into making a video for the 40,000 subscribers to advertise it. I think Ed did, yeah, because that was it. So from the documentary, Ed was just very like, I don't want the attention on me anymore. I'm really sick of the attention. I don't want it on us. And I can understand that because for me, it's certainly not about the attention of me, if that makes sense. It's not about the attention of my system. It's about getting the attention out there of DID in general and awareness of that in general. So, but Ed's idea is like, I don't want the attention at all in any way, shape or form. So Jake sort of compromised and came up with this idea of, well, what if we showcased another channel that wouldn't be about us at all and would actually be about all these other amazing systems that have a story to tell. So Ed was like, okay, he's quite happy with that now. So I think at 40,000 subscribers, he plans to talk about this new channel. Yeah, and just say, for God's sake, like, go and look at someone else other than me. I think that's basically the feeling I'm getting. So. Oh, how can you participate? That's a good question. That is actually a very good question. Jake has done everything on it, so I have no idea. I think he posted on Tumblr quite recently about how you go about it. I'm just going to say, if you email a video over, maybe upload it to Google Drive or something, and then email it over to multiplicityandme@gmail.com. we'll just send you, I know there's a little contract that Jake's made, so I don't know if you can access it anywhere else. So I'll send you over like a little terms and conditions contract just to basically say, it says things like, you know, like we reserve the right to keep your video up and put it on our chat on the Multiplicity&LiveStream channel, but if you want to take that down at any point, you just ask us and we will remove it, no problem. And then all monetization will go to a DID charity, and you can see that as a statement if you want to, or whatever point. So yes, just little things like that. Hi Jess, can you suppress a switch? Yeah, I can. To be honest, it's quite painful. I don't know. I'd say painful. It's just uncomfortable. So yeah, you just kind of. It's just uncomfortable. I don't really know how else to describe it. I know there's a few documentaries I've watched on like people with tics, and they say when they suppress a tic, it's really uncomfortable for them because they can. It's just, and I kind of relate to that. I don't know if it's the same feeling, but I relate to what they're trying to say. Like that suppression is really difficult. So yes. Will it be on YouTube? I'd love to subscribe. But Multiplicity&LiveStream, yes, it will be on YouTube. It'll be on YouTube and it'll be advertised very soon. Okay. Advice on holding down a job. We're struggling. Oh, I'm so sorry you're struggling right now. That's really, really hard. Like I said, I did go into a little bit of detail earlier, so I'm not sure if you've missed it or it might be worth revisiting. But yes, I talked a little bit about concentrating. I find really helps me, but I think it's, to be honest, I think it's about every person finding the right thing for them that keeps them stabilized at work. It might be trial and error. Maybe a few experiments to see what keeps you guys there, and then what seems to bring you guys forward whilst at work, what would help, what wouldn't. It's just all trial and error. I mean, at least it was for us. Who was your first alter? Jake was my first alter. I mean, at least to my knowledge. Because again, yeah, memory is a funny thing in DID. So Jake was my first alter that I remember. And he was 6 years old, and he was mute at the time, and he was the cutest thing. I remember not feeling scared of him at all. He was lovely. I need to shower, but I don't want to miss the live stream. Go shower, Debbie's fine. Okay. How are you doing with a new fragment? I think it's quite difficult. I think, I don't know, I think some systems are better at dealing with new fragments and new alters, and others aren't so much, and unfortunately I'm sort of not so much. I find it quite difficult, and I think I panic when I realise there's something else or someone else that could disrupt my life, because obviously I've got this, in my eyes, I've got this perfect or near perfect equilibrium that I'm very aware of, and I know who everyone is, I know what they're all about, I know I can trust my time and my memories with them. But if a new one comes along and I'm missing time again, I'm having blackouts, and I don't know, like I know Eli's got a very bad habit of drinking vodka, so obviously on a work night that is not very good for me at all. So little things like that really causing disruptions, and I'm not comfortable with it. But yeah, got to learn to be comfortable with it, because it's not the alter's fault at the end of the day. How do I deal with Jake's dysphoria? I don't really, because that's sort of for him to deal with. In the nicest, I'm not trying to say that, oh, I wouldn't be supportive. It's not that. It's just like I don't really know what I could do to help, other than make sure that I don't know, if he asked me to do anything or help in any way, I probably would. I met Jake the other day, so lovely to get the chance to talk to you too, Jess. You mentioned coming and watching my plays when I go to uni. Bobo, that, oh my gosh, Becky Bobo, yes, okay. That name pinged when I read the second part of your last name. Oh, that's really cool. I'm pleased. Hope he enjoys the show. I'm sure he will. I'm not sure he'll do a great show. Has Jake considered getting breast binders, etc. for when he's out from Juliet? Yeah. I think I don't know if we still have. I have no idea. I have no idea what Jake does with any of that. I just let him. It's quite personal, I think, to Jake, so I let him have that. So I know he's got something like that somewhere, but I don't pressure him for information. Jake is so cute. I think so too. Would you consider Jake a protector or carer? I mean, I consider Jake a protector. But I know Jamie's got into this thing recently where he's like, you kind of don't have to label people, you know, alters are what they are. And like particularly like persecutors and stuff, you get this crossover between are they a protector or are they a persecutor, because they're protecting you in the best way they know how, which may be counterproductive or negative, but you know, in their eyes is kind of a protection. So yeah, like don't worry too much about differentiating between alters. Will Ed do a cooking video from Faith? I hope so. I think it would be really great. I know that Gaz has learned all of his cooking skills from Ed, and Ed has taught Gaz. I don't think I'm very around for when Ed cooks, but from what I've heard, if you cook with Ed or you're cooking around Ed, it's a really funny time. Probably a lot of expletives though, I'm guessing. But yeah, I don't know if you'll do one at all. I have no idea. If he ever does a live stream one day, if he ever does, then maybe you guys can interrogate him and find out. Ed's drunk kitchen, yes, Aladdin, that is exactly what it would be, because you probably only feel comfortable enough with a glass of wine. So yeah, it would probably end up being just like that. Does Gaz know instantly when an alter is fronting? Has he ever confused them? Yeah, I mean, there's been times, I think, over the years where he confuses, or he's not quite sure who's out. But I think that's normal. That's completely normal. Even sometimes I'm not sure who's out or who I am, or it's kind of the same thing. How do you feel about people without DID dating alters? That's fine. As far as I see it, I don't mind. I think it's a really cool thing if they can see past, you know, the body that they're in or past whatever, and if they can see them for the person they are, I think that's actually really sweet. My friend thinks I do DID for attention seeking. He refuses to believe that I have alters. Any tips? He doesn't seem like a particularly nice friend. I don't know. I guess that would be up to you and how you decide that it would be best to handle the situation. But I guess, oh gosh, I'm rubbish at advice. I'm so sorry. I guess it would just be like, well, I've gone like, oh my gosh, I do this all the time. Like when I'm making videos, you guys never see this part. Like Jake cuts out, I don't know how much of my waffling and rambling and retakes that I have to do for every video. So I am really sorry. But yeah, your friend doesn't sound the best, and I really hope that they don't minimize your mental health by saying things like that to you, because no matter what condition or disorder or anything you're suffering from, it's never okay to try and minimize somebody's mental health in that way. How did you meet Gaz? He seems amazing. Yeah, I met Gaz through my oldest friend actually, and it was really weird. It's like Gaz just appeared out of nowhere because he literally lived 2 minutes away from me, like walking distance, 2 minutes, like across the street, and I never knew in the whole years that we know that I'd lived there. We'd met actually once when I was 9 years old, and the Pokemon, I think I was 9, because Pokemon Yellow came out. I remember that, and I met Gaz then at a party when we were kids, and we played this Pokemon Yellow, and he thought I was like the coolest person ever because I was the first person to have it, because it was like imported, I think, from Japan. I can't even remember, but I'd gotten it first. So that we kind of actually forgotten about that until about 5 years ago. We were like, oh my god, we actually met at this party when we were like tiny. But no, we met. We were coming home actually from a play that Jake had done. Called Wings to Fly, and that was an educational play about the scariness of drugs and why you should stay away from drugs and stuff. And he was walking home with my best friend, and then this really gorgeous guy comes running up to my friend, and he's like, "Hey, oh my god!" And I'm like, "Oh, he's really cute." And he was just like, "Rah rah, my girlfriend," and I was like, "Oh well, never mind." Kind of moved on from it. And he walked me home though. He was a really nice guy, and I was like, oh, he's really sweet, and he walked me all the way home. And that was that. And I kind of thought, oh well, you know, I'll just move on. And I'd actually gone out. So 10 months later, skip it over. 10 months later, I had gone out on a date with a guy. And I was like sort of on top of the world, like, oh my gosh, like this guy I went on a date with was really nice and rah rah rah. And then 10:30 at night, I get a knock at the door, and I'm like, who's that at 10:30 at night? And I open the door, and he's like, hey Jess, and I'm like, hi you. I don't know who you are. I didn't say that. Like this, I was so like, oh, this guy is really friendly, and he's talking to me at my door, and I don't know who he is. And it was really freezing cold. It was like either October or November, and it was a really really cold night. So he's talking 10 minutes on my doorstep, and I'm like, I don't know who this guy is. And I'm kind of like, do you want to come in? So I let him in, this guy who I didn't know. I let him in my house. And then he sat down and started talking, and I made him a cup of tea, and I was kind of like, I'm really sorry, but who are you? I felt so sorry, I felt so bad. I don't know who you are. And again, that's the beauty of memory loss. I had no idea who this guy was. I let him in, made him a cup of tea before being like, who are you? And he was like, it's Gaz, do you not remember? I walked you home that one time. I was like, why did you turn up at my doorstep at 10:30 at night? Like 10 months later, that's the most ridiculous thing. But what the story goes, actually, he had broken up with his girlfriend at this period at some point, and a few nights, like throughout, I don't know, however long, like whenever he would walk close to home, he would sort of take a detour around my house and consider whether or not he should knock. And then he never did. And then that one night, that was like the third time around the house, and he was like, "No, I'm gonna knock." And it was like 10:30 by that point. So he knocked the door. And apparently it was because he couldn't get me out of his mind. How sweet, I know. And then going on from that, I guess he asked me to be his girlfriend 3 times before I said yes. And I kept saying no, and it wasn't because I did. He was my best friend at this point now. I was like, oh my god, he is the best guy I've ever met in my entire life. And I was so frightened actually of my disorder coming between that, that I didn't. Yeah, I just was too frightened to let him know about that or find out about that or just break my heart basically. So that's the only reason why I said no. What does Gaz do for life? He was a mechanic, but the job markets around here kept like making him redundant, so he is now an engineer. Yeah. Asking 3 times around sounds like an old Jewish tradition. That's cool. What's the difference between a fragment and an alter, please? So a fragment is an alter. You actually don't have to differentiate between the two. I do, some systems do, but some systems don't. And it's, to me, a fragment, because again, it's kind of individual's discretion. To me, an alter is more 3D, more like a full person than a fragment who may not know anything about them or may know very little, who may have one role, one job, one emotion, one whatever. They're much more 2-dimensional. What? Oh gosh, I missed a question. It was on about, sorry, I missed the question, but it was a question about alters being attached to past abusers. I don't know the name of, I think that, I might be completely wrong, but I've heard the term homing alters. I don't know if that's a real thing or not, so please don't quote me. I may have read about that somewhere. And I know that it can be a very, very tricky thing to get around and work around, but hopefully with the right therapist, as long as that therapist is happy to engage with that alter, which I think is so important. I know there was a question earlier again about, how should a therapist be with people with DID, and that is so paramount. Each alter needs that therapy, or at least access to that therapy if they should want it. And working with alters like that in particular is where it's really needed. How was your wedding? Did any of your alters help plan it? Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think Ed did quite a lot of the planning because he's very, very money savvy. And I know Jake helped with like the times and the jet lags and because we stopped off, we went to LA, Hawaii, and then New York and then home. So it was kind of like working around days and times of that. So I know Jake did a little bit there. Ed did a little bit with money, and I'm not sure, I can't remember too well, but yeah, I'm sure they had an input somewhere. What information about DID bothers you the most, other than it doesn't exist? I think just the stereotypical stuff, like, you know, you're going to be, people with DID can't have a life. People with DID can't do this, can't do that, can't do the other. It's very restrictive almost on like how people with DID should or shouldn't be, and I think that's so close-minded. And of course, like alters are serial killers or murderers or things like that as well. Obviously, it's really, really annoying. And even like alters opinions matter less. I think that's an awful thing, and I think that everyone in a system is so important. And like I said, like have access to therapy and things like that is incredibly important. This is my first stream. I just want to say thank you for sharing your story and part of your life with us. I admit I was skeptical at first, but watching you all made me believe, and I love you all. Thank you very much, Carla. That's very kind. Then I've done my job. Are you and Ed okay now? Yeah, I mean, we tolerate each other, you know, we're never ever going to be best friends, ever. And I think that's just the way we are. Like, we'll always will be. We'll never see eye to eye, but we kind of understand that for an easy life, we both need to, yeah, be respectful of each other. Makeup's really pretty. Thank you. Do you know what, actually, I did my makeup, and then I went downstairs, and then Gaz was like, oh my god, did you do your makeup? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, okay, I'm not saying your makeup skills are bad. Because Ed's usually, he was like, I just thought Ed had done it. I was like, no, I did this one today. So yeah. Why do I think I have DID? Well, not only am I diagnosed and it's corroborated, but past all the fancy schmancy stuff, I guess because of the experiences I had, and I continue to have in life every day. Doesn't go away. Have we ever quick cycle switched? Yeah, rapid switching, I think I tend to call it, but yes. Your system reminds me a lot of my own in terms of dynamic. Oh, Beck, that sounds very interesting. I'd be very interested to hear about your system. Oh my god, I'd love to meet you one day. You're so awesome. I have so many questions. Well, ask away. You're welcome to. I think I'm going to try and see it through to do the 2 hours like the other boys have done. I'll try and do it. Hey, Jess, sending you some love from me and Nick in the bench. Hey! Hey, me, myself, and Aliu. Hello. My alters and I considered making their own channel for people to understand and what it's like. That's really cool. I hope you do. Or best of luck if you do. Does switching tire you out sometimes? Yeah. Actually, one of the worst ones for me was actually when I went to see my poor can't even get my words out now, specialist, because he has this amazing thing where he can draw alters out. Like, it's really, he'll like, okay, so I'll be sat in a room, and then he'll like look at me and be like, okay, but what does Jamie think of that? And it's just like direct, and you can feel that like, oh, like uncomfortable, like, oh, what are you doing, kind of thing. And it's like, yeah, blah, blah, blah. It's like, okay, but what does Ed believe? And it's like, oh, I can feel it then. And it's just like you can almost feel him pulling people out. And I remember we had to see him some years ago. I can't remember what it was about. Yeah, the last couple of times I've seen him, and that's had to happen where he's had to see every altar, even if they've been around or not. And I think that's part of it. I think if an altar is close by, it's kind of easy to draw them out, but if they're further away, it's kind of uncomfortable. So I think after drawing all of them out and having to speak to all of them, I was in bed for 2 days. I was gone 2 days, and that's happened twice now. So yeah, so it can be tiring. And rapid switching in particular, I think, leaves you in a place where you're really dissociated and you're kind of depersonalized, derealized, not sure who you are, not sure what's going on, and that can make it quite difficult as well. What do you know about inner worlds from Bobo? As Bobo was saying, theirs is really small. I did say earlier on in the chat, actually, every system is different, and some alters have really, really ginormous inner worlds, and I've heard of people even having separate planets, which is like mind-blowing to me. And some people who have like just a room, or some people who don't have an inner world at all, and that's completely valid and completely okay. What type of therapy would you recommend for DID? I think that depends on the person, Gemma. Personally, I've been through, oh gosh, I don't know how many times of therapy. I'm feeling my own niche right now. I'm quite liking the idea of CBT, because it gives people their own tools and people come to their own conclusions, which I guess statistically helps people to recover. And actually, when you're out of therapy, you feel like you haven't lost a crutch, you've gained a crutch. Like your therapist is not your crutch, you are the crutch, and you feel really empowered and like, yeah. So I'm really feeling my CBT at the moment, like my modality. So, but I know, like, my specialist, he's a psychoanalyst, and I've been in therapy with people who are human givens, and there was like integrative therapists, and oh my gosh, all sorts. So I think it's just about finding the right style for you. I don't have DID, but I want to write about a character who does, and I want to represent it well. Any tips? I've received so many things about this, like over the years, and like emails and whatever, and I really feel actually we should probably do a video about it. That would probably be better. And yeah, I would just say keep away from the stereotypes is a big one. Maybe try and portray somebody with DID as somebody who's actually quite strong in whatever way that may be, or whatever, just somebody who's not basically pushed and battered around and ends up in a mental asylum, because it's just, oh, it's depressing. Like, you know, I get clearly obviously that there are people with, it doesn't matter what disorder you suffer with, there are people sadly who end up institutionalized, and it's very difficult for them to come out of that. But I think it just, at the same time, it gives people hope that you're not all about that. Like I said, when I was discovering my journey and I was reading about DID and looking at videos and everything else, I thought that's all my life was going to be. I thought I was just going to be locked up forever and that would be it. So I think reading something like that, and when I began to find stories like that and I began to find videos like that, it gave me hope that actually that wasn't all that my life was going to be from now on. So yeah. I'm finding it hard to find a therapist who believes in DID. Any advice? If you're in the UK, you can contact a charity called Pods, who will give you a list of all therapists that have had training with them in your area. So it means, obviously, if people are going to these types of training, not only are they at least partially trained in dealing with DID, but they also believe in the disorder, right? Because obviously you wouldn't go to a Pods training event if you weren't. So that might help. If you're in the US, I do believe the ISSTD do a similar service, but I might be wrong. But I'm sure you could still drop them an email anyway and be like, hey, you know, do you know of any therapists that will work with this? And they'll be able to help. I am reading the comments, by the way. I'm sorry. I'm just like trying to take it all in. Thank you very much for doing this. And this is something you do for fear of backlash. Just want to say love you all. Love you too. Thank you. There's Facebook groups with DID. Yep, we've got some members who help each other. Very true. You're doing great, Jess. Stay happy. Thank you. Oh, something about Jake's telling people about people's dreams before. I'm sorry, I didn't read the rest of the message. I remember you describing co-consciousness in a car. Can you explain what it's like being in the passenger seat? Do you usually have co-consciousness? Yeah, Caitlin, sure. I brought this up slightly earlier in the chat. But yeah, so I can't remember the way I described it. It's kind of like sitting back and watching your life. So if I'm in the passenger seat, it's like I'm able to watch my life and take in at least portions of it, or at least a lot of what's going on, but I can't interact, I can't speak, I can't do whatever. I can just watch. And then the percentage kind of changes about how much I get to watch and how much I get to retain. So that's when I sort of move further and further into the back of the car. That's what it's like. I think you're really cool, Jess. Thank you. How did you tell Snazzy Gazzy about your alters? Snazzy Gazzy, I like that. Funnily enough, I've been big into writing about the boys in my head since I was quite young. I had no idea what all these images were, because it was the inner world essentially. I had no idea what it all was or what it all meant. And I guess part of what helped me come to terms with it all, or what, at least what was going on, or to clear my mind and bring that clarity, was to write it all out, or write what I could see out. So I basically wrote a story. I only kept it for like me and a few others, and I think eventually I posted it on a website somewhere. And then actually I showed Gaz, and I was like, okay, well look, if you want to be, this is back to the, again, the conversation we had earlier. I was like, okay, well look, if you really want to be with me, something you have to know about me. I have these people in my head. I'm really scared you'll meet them and stuff like that. But you know, if you really want to get to know a little bit more about what they're like and what's happened, you can read this little thing that I've made and see if that makes any sense. So, bless him, Gaz, who never sits down and reads anything, and he never has since, basically. He took it home with him and he read it all, and he came back and he was like, yep, that's cool. He was like, I don't mind meeting them. I now have a you know, an idea of what they're like and what's going on, and that's cool. And that was that, and he's been with me ever since. Oh, I think Jake talked about dreams, everyone's dreams before. Will you tell us about the differences between all of you? I'm guessing that's the one that flew up earlier and I couldn't read properly. Difference between dreams. I used to think I used to know this at the back of my hand. I'm sort of a bit foggy now. Jake's, I know, are quite surreal. What was his most recent one he was talking about? He really made a big deal out of this one. I can't remember. Something to do with him being on like Planet of the Apes, and he said that he married a monkey woman, like an ape woman, and then but her gorilla dad was really unhappy that Jake had married an ape woman, and then like yeah, the gorilla dad was unhappy that she had married a human, and he was like, but I am a good human, and then they had this wedding, and I just remember Jake talking about it like, oh my god, look at this, it's so great, it's so crazy, and I was like, yeah, that really is crazy, Jake, that's nuts. So yeah, he tends to have these really fanciful dreams. I know Ed used to dream in black and white. I haven't had like a, I say a co-con dream. I haven't heard anything from Ed talking about his dreams, and I haven't dreamt alongside Ed in many years, so I don't know if it's the same anymore. But he used to dream in black and white, and Jamie's dreams tend to be quite simplistic. It's very much like in a white room, and you might see a face, or you might see a, that's about it. Like, kids are quite short. I don't know about Ollie's. I have no idea about Ollie's actually. But yeah, I know the most about Jake's, definitely, because he's the first. He'll always be one of those people that's like, look what I dreamt about last night. I had this dream and it's like this, and I'm like, okay. So yeah. Somebody draw this. What, Jake's monkey wife? Gosh. That would be funny. What is my favourite part about being a system? Oh gosh, that's an interesting question. I say it's interesting as well because I don't really know what it would be like to not be a system or to be part of a system, so I don't know what the best part is. I guess having that support from other people to be able to take over when you need them to, or when you hope they can, to sort your stuff out when you've had a rubbish day. Quite like that. Does Jake ever watch a movie and say that he's been in a film like that Inner World? Yeah. I mean, generally it's one of those where he'll talk ages about the theme he kind of gets from, because the Inner World isn't always like super clarity. Like, he couldn't give you any I don't know, say any lines from his films or anything. Inner World, it's not that detailed, but he'll be like, oh yeah, I did the film and it was kind of like this, and I know that there was this kind of stuff in it. So we may eventually come across a film that's like really similar or has like similar effects or is in a storyline, and he's like, oh my god, I did something like that. And yeah, it's generally sometimes a penny drops like that. Would you consider doing an interview for a presentation for school? Yeah, absolutely. I did say earlier, I've done a couple with people, and good grades so far. So yeah, I'm really happy to. No problem. Can there be multiple systems in a single host? Yes, it can be, Tyler. I talked about that a little bit earlier, I think. It was polyfragmented systems. Do you ever fear not coming back from a switch and an alter taking over? Yes. Oh my gosh, that's, yeah, oh, it was a huge fear of mine growing up, like massive, well, say growing up. Once I figured out what this was, could be, yeah, that was a really big scary thing, because I knew from like 6 to 12, I was barely ever out at all, and it wasn't my life, and it was somebody else's life, and I was really frightened that would happen again, so yes. My best friend is DID and he has 5 alters, and the gatekeeper seems to not have his best interests in mind. She has said multiple times that she wants his to fade. Any advice? I'm so sorry. I can't really. I don't know if it's my head, or I can't really conceptualize that. So the gatekeeper doesn't have the host's best interests in mind. Is that maybe it? If so, it's just, I guess, about, I mean, I can only speak from my advice and my experiences. So again, obviously make sure that they speak to a therapist or somebody who's professional that can help them. In my experiences, it's all about asking the alter why they're doing what they're doing, you know, what's making them act in that specific way. Can there be some sort of halfway point or meeting point? Can you guys compromise? What's going on? What can change? What can happen? And I go from there. So if they're able to communicate with the alter, then that's definitely a good place to start, is communication and then cooperation. I had a psychologist tell me nobody who has multiple personalities is aware of it. If they think they are, it probably actually isn't real. Oh my gosh, yeah, that's a classic line. I mean, I know it sounds really harsh to say, but what I've learned from doing my degree and then moving on to this one is that professionals don't know everything, and that is such a bottom line of something. If they and again, that's part of why I'm breaking down the stigma. It's not just for the general public, it's for professionals as well, to be like, actually, do you know what, this does and it can happen, and yeah, you guys need to change your perspective on it and need to do a little bit more background reading. So it's never a bad thing, I think, to actually correct someone and say, well, do you know what, like, it can happen, it does happen, and maybe you should go away and look at it again. That's never a bad thing, especially for the personal development. If you mention personal development to them, you know, it's kind of a tick in their box, because they should be going through personal development as a psychologist or a psychiatrist or a psychotherapist. They all have to do their PD. So yeah. I haven't taken my own advice yet though. Next time I see a shrinky dink or anyone like that, I will be like, personal development, research it. Do not minimize me or, you know, guess what my disorder is, because that's wrong. Oh gosh, I feel like I've missed out a lot. I read something about, can the host disappear and alters take over completely? Yes. But bear in mind, a host or a core is an alter. So we are all alters, altered states of consciousness. We are all that, even though it's a bit confusing. But yeah, I understand what you're trying to say, obviously. But yeah, that can happen. Anyone can take permanent hosting at any point, or long-term hosting. Is your inner world like Earth? For us, ours is, yeah. But it's set about 20 years ahead for some reason. I don't really know why. I did earlier mean did-research.org. That's exactly the one I meant. They're brilliant. Oh my gosh, the guys there really know this stuff. Really, really know this stuff. Oh, how do you deal with being so beautiful inside? That's so sweet. I'm not, but thank you. Oh my gosh. That's so lovely. Thank you very much. Oh my gosh, any advice? I read that. Any advice on dealing with public events or being the centre of attention or something like that? No. I'm still learning that. It sounds like a cop-out. I generally get Jake to deal with that, or Jamie to deal with that, because I'm still very flappy like I was earlier. But weirdly, give me a presentation, give me a PowerPoint, and I am like on it. So good. I'm like, yes, look at this lovely presentation here. Look at all these cool facts and figures. And I kind of get into my zone then. Don't know. That's just me. What were my initial feelings when I was diagnosed? Oh my gosh, a mixture. I felt confused, conflicted, happy, really also sad, and oh my god, this is the end of my life. but also that there was validation and then there was a reason, and now I could actually look into what this disorder means to me. And yeah, so just a lot of things, really quite overwhelming, but I actually think overwhelmingly positive more than negative, because at least I had an answer. Do you consider Jake your best friend? No, and I guess he's kind of one of, but I don't know. We used to be a lot closer, I think, when I was younger. And we've kind of just grown in different directions. Not that I don't love him to pieces, because I do, still love him to bits. But no, I mean, I've got my own best friends, and I always have. But I'm not as close to Jake now as I was, oh gosh, I don't know how many years ago. Jake went through a big change, I think about 5 or 6 years ago, and I don't think we've been as close since. I think, I don't know, because I say grew up with him on like a, yeah, because he aged up with me from like 6 to, oh gosh, he must have been 20 when he changed. So yeah, like 6 to 20. So obviously I had this really idea of how Jake is and what he is like, and then he went through almost like a metamorphosis really. He went through a bit of a change, and he got tattoos, and he cut his hair off, and he got really muscular suddenly, and I was just like, that's not the Jake I knew. I'm really frightened of him now, kind of thing, and I couldn't deal with it. So and I feel really bad, but I just really didn't speak to him for a very long time. And I think ever since then we've not been as close as we once were. I mean, there's no hard feelings there. I think it's just one of those that we just kind of grew apart. But that was the catalyst. But yeah. Was therapy you received through the NHS? Some of it was, yes. Do the voices sound the same when you're all communicating, or is it similar to when other people think and it just sounds like your own voice? No, it sounds like them. Definitely sounds like them. Sometimes I can't pick up what voice it is. Sometimes it's like too distant or too muffled, but no, it's generally it is their voices, because that's how I know the difference between my own thoughts and their thoughts and voices. You're lovely, Jess, and you're doing a wonderful job. Don't worry about flubbing words or rambling. We all do sometimes. I think you're doing great. Thank you very much. Oh gosh, there's so many. I just don't know where to answer first. How do you get other people to stop treating alters as if they are the host? I mean, that's an interesting one. I don't think I've heard it. Like, I've not experienced it before. I don't know, because I kind of would ask, why would I want someone to not treat them as an integral part? So I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Sorry. Will you ever come to Canada? I'd love to. Yeah, I will. I would love to go and visit Canada one day. Yeah. Where would you say you fit in the family tree with your alters? I am definitely not in the family tree. I don't feel like I'm in the family tree. I'm just kind of like, as Ollie has described me before, I am the person that, like, it was like I don't know the way he said it, was like, I am just this random person essentially that he has to come out and do jobs for. So he worded it something like, worded it much better than I did. But yeah. So I'm not in the family tree. I'm just a person according to Ollie. Can someone have mild DID? No. They can have a condition though called OSDD, which isn't necessarily mild DID. It's a little bit more complex than that. But have a look at it and break it down and see if that fits. Jess, alters are actually alternate identities. They aren't altered states of consciousness. An altered state of consciousness would be like being drunk or intoxicated. Well, I will look further into that and double check my sources, because I've been calling them that for years. I mean, I know an altered state of consciousness is when you're drunk, but yeah, I don't know. I've definitely heard it and read it somewhere. So, but thank you for letting me know. I will double check. But I'm sure I wouldn't have sourced it. I'm sure I wouldn't have written it, because I know I did that Meet the Alters video, and back then I'm sure I sourced it. I might be wrong. If I'm wrong, I apologise. Sorry. My baby daughter says hello. Oh, that's so sweet. Oh, you're doing a really good stream. Thank you. Sorry, I'm probably not as confident as Jamie and Jake are doing these sorts of things, so really sorry. Are you currently still studying, and what are your plans for the future? Yep, I talked a little bit about my studies earlier. My plans for the future would be to become a psychotherapist that specialises in dissociative disorders and work alongside people to help better manage and get through the condition with their own tools, because I believe that we all have them somewhere deep inside. So, yes. Love you too, Sonic. Thank you very much. Will Ollie ever do a live stream? I almost made him do this one. I was so like, I cannot do this one, and I cannot get my head around doing this. So yeah, he will, I'm sure. But I was like, no, I'm going to do it, because otherwise if I don't, I'll feel worse that I didn't do it when I should have done it. So yes, Ollie was wanting to do a stream, so I'm sure he will. How did your parents react? I don't talk about my family or parents. I'm sorry. Something that I won't do. Or my history. It's all a mystery. Can alters be different races or ethnicities? Yes, yes they can. Yeah, and again, that's not, that's not controllable. It's non-controllable by someone. And I know that has caused some difficulties for some people in the community, or people who suffer with this disorder. It has caused some conflict, but at the end of the day, people cannot control what their alters look like, what they identify with or as, and that's that. How hard is it to live day-to-day life with DID? I don't know any different, to be honest with you. I wish I could compare, but I don't know. I don't know the difference between not living with DID. What do you think of fictional introjects? Yeah, introjects are introjects, so whether they're from factual people or fictional people. Oh, my camera's doing a wobbly. They're still valid. So introjects, if people don't know, they're based on people they're based on external people or things. Like a lot of introjects, for example, may be based on past abusers, which is quite obviously really upsetting. But other people may be based on, like, say, Peter Pan. And that's that. What was dating like before meeting Gaz? Yeah, that was a bit crazy. I was really frightened of boys and men, just anything. I was just like, stay away with a 10-foot barge pole. I do not want you. So I was never really into dating anyone at all. But I know Ed dated a few people without them knowing it was Ed. So yeah. But yeah, that's just it. Is Fable your only pet? No, we have 3 guinea pigs and we have a cat. DID is just developed in childhood, or can it happen after? No, it develops in childhood, but you can discover it later in life. So yeah, you can discover it like at any point in life, but you would have had to have developed it before the age of like 10, 9, something before that. Oh gosh, like my chat just went crazy, like push. I read a response you'd written where you said you originally had 20 alters. How much do you remember about them? Do you remember any names or what they were like? No, although I know Jamie and Jake were having a bit of an existential crisis not so long ago, because they were like, oh my god, our parents were alters. And I was like, oh my god, I didn't remember that until they said it, but they were. So yeah, Jamie and Jake's mum and dad were alters at some point, and then there was their sister Jenny, which I do remember. I know that I once had a music teacher. I've got this memory of this music teacher referring to me constantly as Jazz. So I don't know if that's another one, or potentially. I was too shy to ever correct him. So I don't know if, yeah, this is another strange one. So I don't know. I don't really know much. I know that, like I said, there was an alter called James that did a lot of the hosting for about 6 years, but yeah. Oh, how long will this go live for? Another half an hour. I can do it. Jenny, Jamie, James, Jess, you're the squad. Thank you. How can I deal without family's belief or support? That's a really hard one. I'm sorry if you don't have that, but there are ways, and you will get through it. And it could be family, there could be some other people in life that you meet that are just super great. They'll pick you up, and I hope you get that. What are my thoughts, opinions on median systems? I have no idea what one is, to be honest. I've heard people mention it. I've sort of read what people have written about it, but it's like kind of in through one ear. I have no idea. I just know it's not DID, obviously, and that's what I'm trying to know. Is it a good idea to ask someone what trauma originated the DID? No, no, it is never a good idea. You don't need to know at the end of the day. Who needs to know? And you know, it's quite sad. But if you go, I mean, if you go into any, you can go into any like bookshop and find that there are a million trauma books. You can see all these books of these horrendous things that have happened through so many people's lives and suffering. And if you're really curious about the kinds of things that can cause it, you can pick any one of those up. You don't need someone like me or anyone else with DID that you meet to disclose their history. You don't need to know that, essentially. So no, don't ask. I find the internal life your alters live quite confusing. Have I ever been to that place? No, I did say earlier I haven't ever been to the inner world. I don't have access to go in there. It is very confusing, and I wouldn't worry about it too much. Don't worry, each system is different, and each system works differently. So always bear that bit in mind, and you'll be fine. Has Jamie always been the caretaker, or did he play a different role at any point? Yeah, that's interesting actually, because I was talking, I don't know if you guys saw on my Facebook, maybe I posted earlier about Ed and Jamie and about how they've sort of brought each other up, like they've changed each other for the best on both sides. Because when Jamie was first around, he was so selfish, it was unbelievable. Like he was so egotistical and arrogant, and he didn't give a crap about anyone else except him and putting himself first because he was this amazing golden child and everyone else was not worth his time. That's how he began. And Ed, vice versa, was like, you know, not that at all, and kind of they just sort of evened each other out. And I think then Jamie just happened to slide into that caretaking role. Like, yeah, okay, I understand now that I'm, you know, that's sort of my position and that's my job. I don't really know how it happened. I just know that he started off completely differently than he's ended up now. How do you get better at communicating with your system? I think it's just years of work, exhausting work. It's basically, I always say, for me it is communication and cooperation. Definitely, it's just about learning to talk and to cooperate with your alters. But something I've really benefited from recently, and I've only just kind of known the term from me learning about therapy, is self-awareness. It's so good to be so self-aware, and I wish I'd known about it years ago, just to be able to understand more about you and more about people, you know, I guess the people that you said in your head and the people that are around you, and you have a much clearer idea of whose feeling belongs to who and what thought belongs to who and what desire belongs to who. That self-awareness brings you so much self-education. So yeah, that's just from my perspective, but yeah. Jamie's still a little bit like that, yeah. I don't think he's selfish anymore. I wouldn't put him as selfish, but he's I don't know, arrogantly charming. I don't even know if that's the right word, but yeah. I came in late. How's Ed? Is he back? Did he go? I mean, that was a while ago when he was gone for a while, but he is definitely back now. Is it normal for your alters when your alters don't talk to you when you try to communicate? Yeah, it can be. Sometimes there's just no one around. Sometimes there might be something interrupting communication. It could be anything. What would Ollie like to work with? I think he changes what he wants to grow up and be all the time. Not apart from a dinosaur. Oh my gosh. Bless him. That he was saying that will haunt him for the rest of his life. He wants, the last thing he wanted to be was a biomedical scientist, I think, or biomedical researcher, something like that. That was his most recent I want to be, as far as I'm aware. Are all dissociative disorders only developed in childhood? Oh, that's a good question. I don't know if it's all. I'm pretty sure it's all. Don't know offhand. I know DID is because that's all I've really focused on, but I'm not sure, to be honest. Look it up. Have a check. I'll look it up and I'll post about it later. Gaz and I were talking about maybe coming to Chicago in the future. I really hope you do. I hope I do too. That sounds like a lot of fun. How do you get over the denial and believing you might be faking DID and just trust that you have DID? To be honest, it took me a long time to, I guess, to believe that I was correct of the label, or even that I could have that label. But actually, I realised the importance of, this is my experience, and whatever labels are going to follow me is whatever it'll be. But at the end of the day, nobody can validate my experiences and my situation and what goes on inside my head. And I think that's basically now what I say to anyone who tries to work with us, who may be a little bit not DID friendly. And I'm like, right, okay, well, you know, even if you're not going to call it that or work with it, then you have to know that this is still my experience. And in order for us to move on and move forward, you need to accept and understand that. So, yeah, don't worry about labels, I would say. Like, honestly, if that's your experience, that's your experience. And you obviously cannot fake your own experience. That is you entirely in its purest form. My little ones think you're the bomb. Oh, that's so sweet. Do you ever notice crossover in accents when speaking, especially when co-conscious? Yeah, that happens sometimes. And sometimes I don't realise I'm saying it. Actually, when I was growing up, one of the giveaway signs that I didn't know, I sort of didn't notice. I was bullied a lot for being like I was just bullied basically. I went my first few years at secondary school, and one of the things I was bullied for was being an American girl. A lot of people be like, oh, it's the American girl. I'd be like, where the hell have they got that from now? What on earth is that? Why? Where does that come from? And yeah, obviously I found out later down the line it was Jake. So, but whether or not I was losing time and he was speaking to people, or the accent was slipping through, to this day I have no idea. Probably a bit of both. How do you deal with alternatives who aren't interested in school, popping up during school and causing grade drops? Oh my gosh, I have one from Ed in my report from my music lesson somewhere, my music classes. Oh, I think again, it's just really hard. He only ever disrupted a couple of classes. He didn't do many. Because Jamie was very much like, no, I like learning and this is school and this is what I do. So he was very much in the hot seat. So I think again, my only advice would be just maybe to talk through the altar about, you know, how it's important that you're able to go through school and you're able to do this so you have nice grades and nice things in life, or give you better chances of getting nice things in life. And they can maybe have the time afterwards, you know, try and arrange something that you can do together afterwards. So like say, well, okay, if I do school today, then you can go out and do whatever afterwards. You know, it's that collaboration, that collaborative working. Who came first, Ed or Jamie? Jamie came first. Jamie was, I don't remember if I was 9 or he was 9, but I always have 9 in my head for Jamie. So 9. And he was very much the golden child, the perfect child. He's very sociable, and he would sit correctly at the table and have brilliant table manners, and he'd speak to all these posh people, and yeah, so that would definitely be Jamie first. Ed came about, I think I was either 12 or 13 when Ed came about. What's it like to be co-conscious with Ollie? Strange. I'm still learning that, I think. I think he's, yeah, I still, I seem to get, again, I was saying to Gaz earlier, I do feel a little bit uncomfortable sometimes. It's a little bit like, oh no, I don't really know what to say to him because he is a child and I'm not very good with children. But no, we're getting to a point now where we're being able to talk more. I don't think we have much in common. Like Ollie does not view me, like we were talking about this family tree earlier. I am not part of this family tree. And to Ollie, his family are like everything. Like he loves his family. So if I'm not really part of this family tree, he's not really that bothered about me. And in the nicest way, I'm not really that bothered about him. So it's kind of like we're just kind of like passing ships. I have a young alter 14 who has identity issues. She's been bullied before and told nobody could love her if she doesn't have her own body. Oh, that's so sad. What can I do for her? Oh gosh. Oh, that's really like got me in the feels. I think Jake had a similar experience. I would maybe just say that there are people out there who will see her for her and who do see her for her and appreciate her for her, and she never has to worry about the opinions of others when those particular people in her life matter, and those are the ones that see her truly as she is. Maybe that'll help. Have you ever thought about having a cup of tea with Ed and try and find something you both agree on? I kind of feel that there's no point, kind of not much point. I mean, like we've reached a point where we're both happy to be like I guess me and Ollie are kind of like passing ships, like kind of like, well, you know, we kind of know which side our bread is buttered, and we're kind of happy that way. And I think we know little bits that we have in common. Like I know we both like makeup, and we both like art. So we have some things in common. We have some things that we like, but we don't really talk much. I mean, sometimes we'll even draw together. Sometimes we can even like doodle and do art together, but we don't really speak. It's kind of like we both rather just listen to music and just get on with things, and that's kind of how we both are. So, do you get resentful at the time you miss when the boys are out? Yeah, I go between missing it and then actually being very grateful. Like I sort of said this right at the beginning of this chat. Like I do kind of think, oh my god, I'm losing my life. I've only got a fifth of my life. I've only got a tiny bit of memories. I'm 26 now, and I'm starting to feel like, oh my god, I can't believe I'm at this point in my life already. Where is the time gone? But equally, I know if they're not out for a while, I get really like, please send an alter out immediately because I don't know how to cope. So yeah, swings and roundabouts. Yeah, me and Ed are comfortable silence friends. I like that one. Yeah, that's where we're at. Have you ever argued with an alter out loud where both of you speak out loud? I've heard of that happening from a couple of friends of mine who were really, so we lived in uni accommodation when we went to uni for like 3 years, and yeah, 2 housemates I had at the time, Vicky and Joe, which became like our best friends later down the line. They did say that, because I mean, Ed and Jamie, you know, obviously they've grown up over the years and they've clashed and they've had arguments, and it's sometimes it's about system stuff, and my system, they can't talk in a world, they can't talk about outer world problems in a world because yeah, so my system will have to talk it out outwardly, and they can either do that co-consciously or by speaking. So yeah, I know that Vicky and Joe have reported before that Ed and Jamie did. They were speaking out loud to each other or arguing to each other, and that must be a very bizarre sight to see. I've never seen it, but yeah, apparently that's happened. My gosh, there's only 15 minutes to go. Where is the time gone? That is crazy. And it just might be me. I don't know if this chat has been quieter, or maybe I've not been as panicked about the chat going up. I don't know. I just feel like from what I've watched that Jamie's and Jake's are a little bit more busy, but again, that might just be my anxiety being like, nobody likes you. Oh my gosh, it's been doing that all day today. I've had an awful day of it. It's fine. Not at you guys, obviously, but yeah. Any advice for being friends with systems in real life? Yeah, I would just say like listen to your friends. Like if find out how they want to work, or they want you to address them. If they want you to say hello to each individual altar as they come out, or if they kind of just want you to get on with things and each altar will come out and do their thing and not want you to draw attention to them, or if they'll want to call you if because I know some people say like, oh, I don't really want to offend another system, I don't want to say like the name of the wrong altar or not know if they've switched. So maybe again you guys can sit and talk about how you're going to work around that, like, and what will be the best way forward for them. So I would just say have a real honest and open talk about that and about how you feel about it and how they feel about it, and kind of build a plan together of moving forward. Yeah. I totally understand the self-doubt. Oh, you guys are so lovely. Thank you. All of you should be sorted into Hogwarts houses. Yeah, I think Ollie was wanting to do that. He mentioned something about that. I have no idea what happened to that. I think he took it up with Jake, and Jake has a million ideas about all the YouTube things he ever wants to do in the entire world. So I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know if that's become a thing or not. I have no idea, I'm afraid, but it's definitely brought up. Was there a time you didn't know you had alters? Yeah, right away. Gosh. I mean, I knew there were people in my head. It's very difficult though, because I don't know what point I knew there were people in my head. I think I've always known, I mean, I've definitely always known of Jake being there. And I knew that he wasn't, because again, the story goes, I don't know if you guys might know the story, but me and Jake, I have this really vivid memory of us like trying to create, like, it was weird. My memories are all from a third person perspective, so they're rubbish. They're absolutely rubbish memories. So I kind of projected, I think I projected Jake out to sit like opposite me or with me, or maybe he was here, but I kind of feel that he was here. I'm not quite sure. But I know that we were trying to create a hamster, like an imaginary hamster, and we found it so boring. And I was like, this is so boring, let's go play something else, you know? So I knew that Jake was not on the same wavelength as this hamster from a very young age. That was something I do remember. So I'm quietly watching. That's okay. Thank you for quietly watching. You can be as quiet or as loud as you like. Anyone else think Jake would make a great Slytherin? Ooh. I don't know what he would be. I think he would remind me more of a Gryffindor, I guess. Courageous and yeah. Will Ed be making a video soon? I'm not sure, I'm afraid. I don't know. Do you get a lot of academics or therapists contacting you and wanting to study you? No case study interest actually. I don't think I've had any. I mean, that's kind of almost why I just put the videos out there, because I'm like, hey, look, you know what? I'm one example. These are videos I'm happy to share with you guys, and you can make of them what you want. So maybe somebody is case studying me without telling me. Who knows? Oh, thank you. I love you guys too. And yeah, I'll be uploading. I mean, we are uploading, or we're trying to upload. We've got this one video. What was it? Oh, we did the Myers-Briggs personality test. So all of us have done them. Mine was advocate. I don't remember the letters now, but I know mine was advocate. But there's a holdback because Ed doesn't want Jake to release it. So again, this is where the conflicts come in. So Ed's done his bit, and then the documentary came out, and he was really happy with all this attention. He was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want this video to be released. But Jake doesn't want to release a video and cut out Ed's part because he's like, no, we finally got you in a video, and I don't want to remove you. So I think there's still some compromise going about that at the moment. Thank you for doing a live stream. No problem. I'm sorry if it was really awful or if I didn't know my facts or anything. My brain is like mush now. It's like, no. I think the nerves just got to me. How do the guys handle your girl problems? That's an interesting question, I guess. I think, again, it's just about taking care of me. It's part of that role. Yeah, you've got to kind of take care of the body you're in, no matter what body you're in, you know, and that's all parts of it. So, oh, it's my first live stream. You've done great. Thank you, Carla. I really appreciate it. Oh, thank you for sending me the Ask Catslade. I appreciate it. With the, if it is, obviously, I will change it and rectify it in another video somewhere. I'm really sorry if I've been calling it wrong all this time. I feel really bad if I've gotten that wrong. I can't believe I've been saying it like all these years. For some reason that had stuck in my mind, so I apologise, like I said, if it was wrong. My author Jessie really likes you. Could you say hi to her? Hello. Advice for telling your friends about DID? Gosh, that's a tough one. For me, I was trying to hide it at university. I was a bit like, I don't want to go into uni and tell people. I don't want to tell anyone ever. But after it just got really hard, and my friends were actually the first people to confront me and be like, "What's going on?" And then I just kind of blurted it out. But it was really good because at that point in time, moving on from there, it really taught me that it was better for me to just say it and just be like, this is what I have, this is what I deal with, this is what I have every day. If you're not comfortable, then that's cool, we can just part now, kind of thing. So it stopped me getting too attached to people, I guess. So I'm not sure if that's any good advice. From my experience, that works best because I've not been let down later when I've been like, hey friends, this is what I suffer with, and they're all like, oh no, don't want to deal with that, and then I'm kind of hurt by it. So yeah. Does Jake have all the creative control for the YouTube channel? Pretty much. I mean, he's the one that wants to do it, and he's the one that's like always getting us to do things and come up with random ideas. And I don't think any of us anywhere near as enthused as Jake is. So I think he has a hard time chasing us up sometimes. But yeah. Oh, thank you, Ting Tong. That's so sweet. The dream thing, Rach, I did talk a little bit about earlier, so you might have to rewind to that one because it was a really long one. I won't revisit it now just because we've got like just those few minutes left. What age was I diagnosed? 19. I was diagnosed. Advice for family not believing you. I think I did say this earlier as well. Just I'm sure that even though family might not, that's up to them, and maybe they'll come around one day. I hope they do for your sake. But if they don't, I'm sure that you've got people around you, whether they're friends or family friends or someone out there that does believe and appreciate you, and you can't change someone's decision if that's what they want to believe, unfortunately. But hopefully they'll come around and see it from your side one day. For the TV interview, do you think Jake came out because it was related to his profession? I have no doubt. Jake was around the whole time, the whole week. He was really buzzing. Really buzzing. Admire your courage, must take a lot to live stream. Thank you very much. And I'm sorry, like I said, if I, you know, obviously if I ever get, oh my gosh, I kick myself for getting my facts wrong, and I'm just like, I can't believe about the altar thingy, I can't believe if I've got that wrong. I'll be like, oh no. But yeah, I'm glad that you think so anyway. I try my best. I don't ever think I've been perfect, but I do my absolute best just to give you guys what I know and what I can tell you. Do you have a PO box? Not yet. Sorry. I'd love to though. I'd really, really, really love to one day. Oh, thank you guys so much. You guys honestly, you've given me way too much credit. It's so sweet of you. Your child's been so educational. I'm happy that I understand DID much better. Thank you. Well, again, since that thing, I will make sure to extra check my sources and make sure that what I'm saying is in there with the source. So I'm really sorry if I've missed that one. Yeah, the Pottermore quiz, I think, like I said, was an idea that Ollie came up with, but I have no idea what's happened to it or what Jake's doing with it, because Jake is the person that does it all. Thank you guys ever so much. Yeah, and I'm sorry for like the beginning, like where I was like, I have no idea what's going on. I still don't even know if I've been looking at the right stream or the right chat, because I don't know if Jake watches it in YouTube or watches it in OBS. I have no idea which one he watches it in, so it might be laggy, and I'm really sorry if that's been the case. Oh, I deserve a bubble bath now, thank you. Who talks with their hands the most? I'm not sure. I don't know. It'd be an interesting one to ask. I guess it would be Jake, but I might be wrong. But actually, Ed's very handsy because he uses quite high hands, I think, from what I remember. I think. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe you guys can tell me one day. I'm not sure. Steal one of Gaz's bath bombs. I will. Ollie's turn next, hopefully. Yeah, hopefully. I'm hoping he will. Can alters have allergies that hosts don't? Yes. Yeah, that can happen. Again, I'm not quite sure of the mechanisms, but yeah, it can happen. Oh, well, thank you for letting me know, Mira. I appreciate it. I really want to see Ed doing a cooking tutorial or a makeup tutorial. I would love that. I would love for Ed to get more involved. I think he's just so not confident. He's just like, oh, I don't know what to do, kind of thing. But yeah, no worries, guys. Oh, thank you, Axo, for joining us. It's really nice to see you. But yeah, I tell you what, I guess it's kind of that time to wrap up. So I guess I just wanted to say like a big thank you for coming today, and I'm really sorry that I've been a bit jittery and a bit all over the place. Thank you for humouring me, I guess. And of course, like I'm really sorry for any waits between videos. Like I said, at the moment we are waiting on Ed's okay to release a video that Jake has made and put together, or I think he's put together like a lot of it, like 50% of it at least. He's got all the footage there, but he's not working on it anymore until Ed agrees that it can be released. So look out for that. It will be there eventually, and I know that Jake's also trying to encourage Ed to do 40,000 subscribers thank you video, and also to say that we do have an upcoming Multiplicity and Us channel, which will contain all of the contributors from all around YouTube. And that'll give everyone a better experience of different systems and different types of systems and how they work and how they function, and different alters and things like that. Because like I said, we are just one system in a million of others. So yeah. But no worries, thank you ever so much, everyone, and you've been so sweet and so great to me. And yeah, just thank you very much, and good night. Love you guys. Bye bye bye.